Alright, so in the last video we added a sprint functionality and we added a ability to quit the game by pressing the escape key. So in this video what I want to do is do a pause menu because just a real basic one. We'll go into all of these systems and we'll make them better as we progress, but right now I just want to set up the bare bones skeletons for everything so that when we are making the actual game it's a little bit easier to play with. So, before we do the pause menu, actually let's do a fix. So, one thing that's been bugging me is when you press play, here I'll show you. When you press play, you have to click into the screen. My mouse is still showing and you have to click into the screen in order to start playing the game. I don't want that to happen. I just want you to start playing the game. So, here's what we'll do. We're going to set it up so when this level begins that instantly the mouse is gone and you don't have to press anything and you can play it. So let's set that up first, and if there's enough time we'll go fully through the pause menu. If not, we'll break the pause menu down into bits and pieces. So first things first, let's set that first part up. So when you play the game, we don't want that to happen. So go right here and open your level blueprint. Okay, there should be nothing here, and that's good. Right click and type begin play. Then click the event begin play. And so as soon as the level starts, this is what that means. As soon as the level begins, we want something to happen. We want to talk to the player character, and we want to tell the player character's controller to only focus on the game. So that's what we're going to do. So cast to third person character. That's the first one right here. And for the object, drag off the object and write player character. You might have to write get player character, but usually you can just write player character, and that's the one you want. Perfect. In order to line these up, highlight them and press Q. Okay, so from when the level begins, we want to go to the player, and then after that, we want the player. We actually need to get the. We actually don't even really need to get to the player, but that's good to have because we may need it for another reason. But what we need to do is right click and say get controller or player controller. There you go, get player controller. And then off of player controller, we need to set input mode to game only. We'll drag that over there. And also what we need to do is hide the mouse cursor. So from the player controller, set show mouse cursor. And you can find that there. And you'll drag it here. Boom. And connect those. We want the mouse cursor to be gone, so we need to make sure that it's not clicked. If we want the mouse cursor to be seen, then we want to click it, but we don't. We want it unclicked. In order to clean this up here, double click on this blue line. Find the blue line, double click, and now you can move that blue line up a little bit. Now that makes it a little bit more clean. Remember, you can straighten these out with Q. Okay, so when the level starts, we're casting to the main character. It's a good practice to always make this main character a variable so you can reference it easier later, but we don't have to do that right now. We'll come back in a future video and edit it. This video might be a little long. Alright, so basically let's connect this to that. So it should now, when we press play after we compile and save, we can close that. When we press play, we should automatically be in the game and there should not be a mouse. Perfect. I didn't have to click anything. So it works perfectly. Alright, so that's set up. Now let's set up our pause menu. Now, same way we did with our sprint and the same way we did with our quit game, we need to do the same thing with pause. So go to edit, project settings, find input down here in engine. We're going to set up another action mapping. So press plus, and we're going to call this one pause. Cool. And for me, I'm going to make it, for the keyboard, the letter P. Because that's what people do. And for the game, if you're using a game controller, I'll set the gamepad to like what's called the right special. It's like the special button on the right hand side. It's the start button, the pause button. Cool. And that's set. We can exit out of those. And now let's set it up in our character. So go back to your character, double click on them, and just like we did with the sprint, which here I gotta fix that for you. Sprint, there you go. And the quit game, we need to do a pause. So let's zoom in, let's right click and pause. Type in pause. Now you might not find it when you type it in, but scroll up and you want the action event pause. Alright, cool. Now you've got pause. And you want, when the player presses the game, you want pause to do something. But not when they release the button pause. So when they release P, you don't want anything to happen then. You just want something to happen when they press pause. However, you want something to happen when the game is paused. So come on the right hand side while this is highlighted and make sure you say execute when paused. Boom. Cool. Now, today we're not going to set up the whole menu. We're just going to set up the pause game functionality, and in the next episode we'll set up the whole pause game menu. Cool. So, when the player presses the pause button, which is P or the right special on the gamepad, we want the game to pause. So luckily there's a function already set up for us. We can drag off of this, and we can say set game paused. Perfect. And you want to make sure the game is paused, so click that. Now the game is paused when you press the pause button. However, let's get a little bit more fancy, because you want the game to be unpaused when you press that button again. So in order to do that, we could just set up like a branch and make it complicated, but let's make it simple. Drag off of pressed and type in flip-flop. This means you can press the same button and make it do different things. Okay, so when we press the button for the first time, it's going to set the game paused. When we press the game second time, we want it to be unpaused. So make sure you type the is paused, so it knows that the B is unpaused. Boom. Compile. Save. And we can test that out. But before we do, let's make sure it's neat and set up right. And we'll comment it and call it pause. Perfect. And like I said, we'll make it doper in the future, but right now this is all we need. Compile, save. Alright, when I play the game, I started in the game, awesome. I can sprint, jump, all that stuff. Pause. Can't move, can't even move the camera. Unpause. Everything works. Cool. Cool. So in the next episode, we're going to add the pause menu, so it says like pause at the top of your screen when you do pause the game. And then after that, we'll do some more stuff. But thanks for joining me on this one, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.